Good morning. So my channel is going to be shifting slightly because I've got chickens, just like a lot of you, and that means I need to build a chicken coop, and I need to get this chicken coop built before the chickens are big enough to go in the coop. And I can't control the rate of growth of chickens. This just has to get done, and it's the priority at the moment to build the chicken coop. So we'll get back to normal later, but for now I just want to go over kind of how I'm building the coop, what the costs are, why I'm doing it this way, and we'll have a bunch of follow-up videos of the actual build process. As much as possible, I'm planning to do this build entirely on video so other people can see what's involved in the build process. Other than time dilation, I'm trying to not edit this at all. My guess is the actual build process is going to take about 8 to 12 hours of labor. Let's just get into it. So initially, I'm a new chicken owner. I've got my 6 little pullets chicks. What I've been seeing online is everyone says don't buy a prefabricated coop, build your own. So those are the prefabricated ones, never hold as many chickens as they say they will. They're usually like half that, they're expensive, and they don't last, at least what I keep being told. So I'm building my own with advice from several people, including some engineers who design hotels professionally, to get help with the design work. So let's very quickly go over what this is going to look like, and we're going to have a bunch of follow-up videos of the actual build process. So to start with, for the foundation, get the whiteboard up. Cool. Our foundation is going to be a bunch of 8 by 8 by 16 cinder blocks, and we're spacing those out. Yeah, cool. So we've basically got cinder block, block, block. In the middle, we're putting more blocks, and then blocks going the other way. So that dimension is 4 feet. This dimension, we're spaced out 8 feet. And this just gets the rest of the coop a little off the ground so we're not entirely ground contact. So hopefully this will help things last a little longer. Now, for the coop itself, the basic idea is the ground, we've got our blocks. We're just, it's our foundation. We're just looking at this from the side. On top of the blocks, we're going to lay a 4 by 8 sheet of plywood. So we've got our sheet of plywood there. That's our 4-foot dimension. That's 8 foot. And we're just putting our plywood on top of the blocks. Then on the front of this sheet of plywood, we're putting another sheet of plywood, and that's going to be 4 feet tall by 8. There's going to be a wooden frame that's got to be built for all of this. We'll have that in other videos. Most of the frame is going to be 2x4s. This corner here and this corner here is going to be 4x4s. And I'm just doing that because, not necessarily for strength, but partially for strength for the roof. I'll show you later. Anyways, this back here dimension on the side, we are going to put also plywood, and that's going to be 2 feet tall by 4 feet long. So I'm basically a quarter of a sheet of plywood. And then the back is going to be 8 foot by 2 foot sheet of plywood. And then this back side here is going to be another sheet of plywood 2 feet by 4 feet. So the idea is the front of my coop is going to be 4 feet tall, the back and sides are going to be 2 feet tall. Over here on this side, to fill that gap, we're going to have hardwood cloth. We'll call that HW. So kind of we've got a gap, and obviously let's do this again. There's our front. There's a base that's 4 foot by 4 foot. Our side piece is 2 feet tall. So what we're going to have up here is we're going to have a sloped roof here is our hardware cloth, which is kind of, and I'm going to sandwich that in with some 1x2s to hold that secure. That's going to give us some ventilation for the coop and let air go in and out. We're going to have a roosting bar that's going to go somewhere about there and go horizontally through the coop. Actually, probably getting closer to there. And picture it going into the whiteboard. Just across the coop, so I'll have an 8-foot roosting bar that's going to be another 2x4x8 there. And one side of this is going to be hardware cloth. The other side of it, I'm going to try to find some sort of plastic window that's going to be thick enough to be predator resistant. On the roof, we're going to put hinges here, and the entire roof is going to be hinged. So in theory, we can just kind of lift the roof there up to get eggs out of the back. So I'm going to end up building a separate set of nesting boxes. They're going to sit in the back of the coop. I'm going to be using hook and eyes that have a spring closure on it for holding this down. I think we're actually going to end up with 10 hinges there, and my roof's going to be cut in half. So I end up with 2 4-foot wide roof sections, and this dimension here is about 4.5 feet. I think it was like 4 foot 8 inches. So we'll probably make that 5 feet and just have a little overhang, depending on what roofing material I can have available. I've got an old tractor shed on the back of my property, and I saw some actual metal roofing material in there. So hopefully I can steal that and reuse it. Otherwise, I'm going to be shopping. So, in terms of cost, my local Tractor Supply sells a pre-built coop for $700 that's supposed to hold 10 chickens. So that's kind of what I'm comparing this to. Initially, my plywood, right here. My plywood, I've got a ground contact sheet on the bottom, and then I need 2 more sheets of plywood for the back and sides, plus 1 I'm going to use for the little extra for the nesting boxes and probably doors. I forgot to mention this. I'm planning to have an automatic coop door on the front on one side, and then just a hinge door on the other side for cleaning out the shavings. So anyways, my plywood cost, I already bought this, was $115. Now, I'm using about 22x4x8 for the frame. So those are about $3.50 each. So our 2x4s are costing me $70. I'm using about 1.5 pounds of 3-inch decking screws, and they only sell them by the pound box. This is $15 a box. So those screws, it's about $30. And then to hold the plywood to the frames, I'm also using decking screws. It's probably going to be about 1.5 pounds. I had leftovers from doing some fencing work previously that I'm reusing. If you have to buy those, they're probably looking at another $20. So $50 for screws. This whole thing's got to get painted. Bear has a livestock safe barn paint. I think I can do the entire paint with the gallon. The paint was $22, so $22. The hinges for the roof are coming from Amazon. The recommendation I got is I need 3 hinges for each half of the roof, so 2 halves of the roof. And I'm doing my roof in 2 halves to keep the weight down. Anyways, my hinge cost, I'm getting them from Amazon at 12 packs, so I'll end up with 5 on each half of the roof, plus 2 for the door for clean out. That's costing me $26 if I'm right. The hook and eyes to kind of clip all of my doors closed and keep my roof closed. I'm ordered 10 of those from Home Depot. They're on their way. So those hooks I remember right, they were $15, $14. Let's call it 14 because it'll make my math easier. And what am I forgetting here? Oh yeah, the door. In terms of the coop door, I've got an automatic coop door that I've ordered. I'm waiting for that to arrive still. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of really cheap options and lots of horror stories about them failing to close and predators getting in, or they close at the wrong time and crush a chicken. So basically ordered it on Amazon. It was $185 with tax and shipping. It came out to $200. So if we do the math real quick, we are at 315, 385, 335, 357. Add those two, it's 40, so 397. So our total cost estimated is $397. Now I've already started building it. How much you can see it out the window, it's way back over there. So I'm looking at $397 for the coop build. I've spent 4 hours on this, and I still need to do the front and the roof, which are kind of going to be the complicated parts. So my guess is my total labor investment, not counting YouTube video editing, so y'all can learn from this and hopefully learn from my mistakes, is probably going to be somewhere around 12 to 16 hours labor. And I also have to net around an area for a run. I'm basically free ranging chickens. My goal is to have 10 birds total. The run is, I think that's something like 20 T-posts at $6 a piece. So it's $120 plus the chicken wire. Initially I bought 120 feet, had to buy some more. So my total cost for fencing that all off, about $250. So 250 added on to that, 250, 400. So we're at about $650 for my costs. My 6 chickens so far have been $50. So we're at, oh, whatever. My 6 chickens were about $50. So we're at $700 so far for chickens. The heating plate, 2 bags of pine shavings, 50 pounds of food. Let's see, heating plate is about $60. Pine shavings cost me like $10-15 each. The food, I think I'm $60 into that. I had to pick up some waterers and feeders. Those came out to be about, that should be in here, I think chickens are in the other room. Those came out to be about $8 each, and I've got 4. Let's just call it another $200. Oh, and the plastic structure. So we've got another $200 there. And my basic cost for getting up and running with 6 chickens is $900. These are some expensive birds. Man, those are some really expensive birds. Not sure I'd recommend it from a cost perspective. Like eggs, even at their worst, eggs weren't $900 expensive. From a self-sustainment perspective, I want the manure to compost into the garden, and I want to be able to get eggs without having to go to the store and drive, because that's kind of the grocery we run out of most often is eggs and fresh fruit, or fresh fruit, produce, vegetables. So I've got a garden outside, now I'm going to have eggs producing my protein. It's definitely not a cheap process. So if you think you're going to get chickens to save money, you're not. And this is not counting my labor. Because as building that coop is probably going to be 12 to 16 hours, and I'm probably spending 20 to 30 minutes a day dealing with the chickens. I'm going to be collecting the eggs once this is all done. Plus bedding is going to have to get recycled into the compost. It's going to be a lot of work. But anyways, enough of me talking. We're going to throw up the videos of the initial build. I'm going to need some rain, so we're going to have a gap between the initial build, like first half, second half of the build out. And I I got to go to work and I should probably quit running my mouth. So, y'all have a good day.